We all live. I got something to tell you about the government shutdown. What would happen if there was a shutdown and they use that as an excuse to do an epic downsizing? Would that not trigger lower rates faster? If Jerome Powell is worried about demand or inflation, the cure for inflation, sadly, is unemployment. And I think Bitcoin and crypto smell accelerated rate cuts. Of course, Bitcoin and crypto also smell like, after they dumped on it all last week, pushing people out beyond what I actually thought. Like the discouragement, it was an abyss. It was a bigger abyss than I think it was the last two times they did this in September. 2023 was boring. They just bored you until you didn't want to do it anymore. 2024 was the same thing. You never thought altcoins were going up ever again in your lifetime. This time they just washed everybody out. And then you could tell because they immediately started coming after Bitcoin. Like, I have heard all this yip yap, like Bitcoin doesn't go up because, you know, they can issue ETFs on paper. You know, that can blunt demand because there may not be Bitcoin behind it. That can be true. Certainly is true in gold and silver. And that trade after 10 years is unwinding. But the key point is, they're not going to be able to stop Bitcoin. They're not, right? It's like, okay, well, BlackRock can print all the paper Bitcoin that they want. The simple fact of the matter is the market just told you. Not the guy with the glasses and the goatee. Mr. Market just told you that they want nothing to do with 108, 110, 112, 114. And guess what? They're not going to want anything to do with resistance at 120 because it's just going to go. Now, how's it going to go? Well, I know we all want up only and then at the Lambo dealer in, 6 hours. However, we have published the new October roadmap, October-November roadmap after the wildly accurate September version in Patreon Platinum. Needless to say, we are into Uptober. Altcoins have catching up to do. How much catching up to do, you can check out in the program. And if you thought I was constructive XRP, you're not going to believe what Toby Ward said last week about XRP. Completely blew my mind. I'm like, hey, Toby, here's some XRP. I don't know. Here's some XRP scenarios. It could be scenarios. It could be satire. She just looked at me, and I could tell by what she was saying, the way she said it. Okay, well, the 6th Street crypto crowd has now got that report. So that's our middle tier on Patreon. And we're going to be discussing that more and more and more. Here's the bottom line, right? You better watch out for stablecoins. You better watch out for Bitcoin. You better watch out for ETH following gold. And you better watch out for XRP. Other than that, I have nothing to say. If you want the details, naturally, you want to subscribe to this channel because we're live in the morning and we are live sometimes in the evening. Okay, you want to know what we're saying because what we're saying has been spot on accurate if I don't say so myself. Coming up after this, Toby Ward for the second time in 2 days after telling me, Bill, we should do a show. I'm like, wait a minute, we just did a show. She's like, Bill, we should do a show. When she tells you we should do a show 2 times in 2 days or 2 times in 3 days, it might be a good idea to pay attention. Meanwhile, back at the Market Update Ranch, final shakeout, obvious bottom, the first of many rallies. Now, they got okay views, but I detect a sincere lack of enthusiasm. And you know what? That's bullish. And you know how it was like up, down, up, down, up, down in September? Yeah, well, guess what? We're not doing that. Final dip, fire sales, millionaires will be made, and your portfolio, she'll handle it. Superhero costume for Halloween coming up next. If you miss it, I can't help you. Now, in the event you're in a far off land and all you can do is pay for your phone service to listen to what I'm having to say, cool. Because I'm going to get everybody sorted out. Everybody, right now. Now, the first thing you want to do is start looking at crypto in terms of disruptive technology. If you have rate cuts coming, if you have downsizing in like sovereigns and the amount of money that they're sucking out of the system, you have gold and silver signaling multiple things. A possible problem with stonks in November. What dates in November? Well, that's going to be in the podcast coming up next. Needless to say, you got to make your money. You want to make your easy money in October. Okay. There could be a problem with stonks. There could be a problem with the gold and silver market itself, which affects big banks. And again, if big banks are affected because there's not enough physical gold and silver to meet demand from paper holders, that's a problem for banks, and that brings in Powell heavy. And frankly, I think gold and silver could also be telling you that the printing press is on. And crypto, in Toby's words, has been suppressed. In other words, it's gotten to the point where it's almost laughable. It is, right? I mean, you know, every single headline, Chainlink, you know, explores expansion, right? You know, meme coins want to get involved in DeFi. $250 million worth of shorts liquidated. I mean, you know, Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin at 113. You know what? He's not letting the market makers cover. After MicroStrategy was eliminated, after MicroStrategy was excluded from the S&P 500, okay, Michael Saylor has adopted a new nickname. He's like, my name is Buck and I don't give up. He is after Bitcoin. He's like, you know what? Go out and find me all the Bitcoin you can sell me. BlackRock wants to create paper Bitcoin to hold it down. Fantastic. I'll send Larry a bottle of something for Christmas. Meanwhile, I'm just taking it all. You can tell this is as aggressive as I've seen him, I think, since maybe 2020 when he was paying $20K for it. When he originally came up with the idea of using MicroStrategy stock to buy Bitcoin, which is why Bitcoin is moving like it is, because these market makers are like, wow, okay, this guy doesn't want to play the game anymore. He wants to buy it when it's up and he wants to buy it when it's down, and he can move it all by his lonesome. Meanwhile, retail, uninterested, out. Everybody making fun of Bitcoin treasury companies, stupid. Okay, because the ETH, Solana, and I swear to God, the XRP treasury companies are next. Like there's two companies in stablecoins printing money, not printing money Fed style, making money. There's Tether and Circle. Okay, well, the more gravy in the kitchen, the more dogs at the door. We learned that from an economist at the University of Texas Business School. Who's next to make a bunch of money from stablecoins? I don't know. You got to think they're going to be traveling on the Ethereum network, and they could be traveling on the XRP ledger. After all, XRP is a fast payment system. So to say I'm bullish XRP, all I can tell you is when this market went down, the first thing I bought was XRP. I can tell you what I'm doing. I can't give you investment advice. So as a trader I used to work with would say, if I'm wrong, I'll lose money because I'm in on this idea. Period. And, you know, Toby and I, between, you know, the Patreon Platinum area, in some ways, we're ready for Uptober. That, you know, we've hit Patreon Platinum with 3 pieces, altcoins for October, the roadmap, okay, and, you know, sector analysis. I mean, we have just poured it in, and we're going to another level. You ready? Ready for this? We're going to another level because we're doing crypto disruptors next, as in we're going to go through a list, and Toby's going to give you her top 2 or 3 because that's our new jam, right? No more big lists. We're giving you the top 2 and top 3. Deep dives coming up soon. And you're not going to believe it, but it took me a month to keep it. It took me a month to get the list together. Okay. At the request of the Eagle King, right? Memecoin Showdown. So I got a good list of memes. Memecoin Showdown comes after this on VIP because there's a date in October when memes take off. Yeah, baby. Yeah. And now we're just going to sit here every day and watch this market climb the wall of worry because nobody wants to get in. Nobody wants to be involved. Nobody except you. Nobody except you. You know, additional ideas. Polkadot has got an algorithmic stablecoin, right? My favorite headline is that JPMorgan and our friends at investment banks have just upgraded Riot blockchain as an AI play. So Bitcoin miners have been diversifying the model. Like some guys got into energy, some guys got into AI, some guys became hedge funds. That was Marathon. Riot got into AI. Not familiar with the exact details, but JPMorgan is, and they just upgraded those stocks. And you know what? It's kind of a smart move, right? Upgrade stocks that are down-ish. People looking to buy something other than, you know, NVIDIA and the, you know, wild west in stonks. So upgrade something that might make sense. Maybe it didn't make sense a year ago, but it makes sense now. I mean, they have something. Oracle has just expanded what you would call its debt to equity ratio, meaning big tech companies are now levering up massively. Massively. They're getting leveraged to build data centers that are as yet unprofitable. Well, crypto has a profitable model in terms of stable coins, and gold and silver are disrupting paper money. So why would we not join in on that? I mean, I don't recommend leverage trading ever. I know guys do it, but if they're doing it in stonks, and stonks are going to run into kind of an oopsie daisy in November, and maybe everyone knows it, what does that mean for crypto? Notice how they bought the dip today in Solana, right? Everyone's like, oh, yeah, it went up. I'll sell. Like bag holders sell the first rally. Okay. Yeah, they took it from them. They took it from them, right? And XRP never went down today. So me and Toby got this XRP thing. We got it. We got this right. Like there's something at Wall Street where like when you have high conviction, the joke used to be, you know, I'm long, come get me. Come get me on this crypto market, right? Because they just sold this thing into an absolute ditch. They sold it into a ditch. They got everybody out. People were so depressed. Like I said, I haven't seen this level of depression in quite some time. Okay, so we have, it's funny, right? We're publishing, everyone's leaving. We're publishing research. And our customer base is like, you know, I don't know. They're like competing with each other on super chats, and they're super chatting on premium streams the other day. It's unbelievable, right? So somebody is making money in this equation. Okay. Now we know Big Rich is making money because, you know, Super was up 35% today. It went all the way from its discount zone to its premium zone in one day. Now, naturally, that's a fluke, right? This could never happen anywhere else. It could never happen again. You know what, folks? It's already happened. And I know we talked about this, and I know I've never been negative this, and I know Steve J loves it. Synthetix, right? Remember good old-fashioned DeFi, derivatives, you know, that stuff? Yeah. Downward sloping wedge, suppression, boom, up 40%, and it's not really backing off. It's not backing off much. You go to a weekly chart in Synthetix. Okay, so we're running into resistance. And you know what I think resistance is? Baloney. I think resistance is baloney in October. Everyone's like, well, it's at resistance. Well, even some of the YouTube headlines, it's Uptober, but watch out for this risk. It's Uptober, but watch. No. If it's Uptober, it's Uptober. It goes to resistance. Okay, good. Did it back off? No. Okay, more. Because this really could be gradually, then suddenly. Like, think about it, right? What did you have in September? Lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, Ginsu knife, chop. What follows after chop? Well, everyone expects more chop, but what do you get? Gradually, then suddenly. Okay, and this says nothing about Ethereum. I don't know when did people start ignoring Ethereum again? Why is that happening? I'm not totally sure. People are just like, yeah, okay. I mean, it went down below 4,000. Merry Christmas. And everybody just kind of blew it off. Like, no one talked about it. Like, oh, ETH's going to 10,000 and ETH goes to 4,000. Now, conveniently, with this government shutdown that looms, the Bureau of Labor Statistics most likely will not be releasing the unemployment report on Friday. So, no payroll number. Convenient. There won't be any payroll number, right? Other than the Fed can't make decisions because they don't have the accurate data. Like the Fed doesn't know what the actual numbers are. This feels like an organized stunt to get rates down. This feels like a joint Powell-Trump operation. In other words, the only way Powell can get rates down and not lose all face, not have the institution fall apart, is to have the excuse of this shutdown blunt demand, blunt GDP, and just, put the final nail in the coffin of the labor market, right? Government employment was the increase in employment over the last 2 years. And now, the Doge hammer, it could finally come down. I mean, I'm sure in Washington, they're just scared out of their wits. I mean, the Orange Man told ByteDance that we'll shut it off. We'll shut it off. I'm shocked that ByteDance agreed to sell because he was like, we'll shut it off. And when he says he'll shut the government down, he did it the last time. And he'll do it again. And whether that happens or whether it doesn't happen is kind of a very big reflection on the currency. They shut it down, we're dysfunctional. They don't shut it down. They've obviously printed more money, agreed to more spending, whatever. More sugar, fiscal dominance. Like it literally, I mean, equities people do this all the time. Well, if it's bad news, it's bullish. If it's good news, it's bullish. They do it all the time. Well, guess what? I'm going to do it now. Why? Because everybody just took crypto and sold it into the hole. They just said, we don't want it. Meanwhile, commodities on the blockchain is going to be an emerging thing, right? This gold and silver thing is going to wake up real world assets and commodities on the blockchain. And I may be sitting on a solution to that you won't believe. More on that later. Meanwhile, antivirus. Okay. So antivirus hanging out at a $3 million market cap. Meanwhile, I got something on my Twitter where there was a judge in a certain European country reading a sentence to somebody who said something on Facebook that he didn't like. This whole idea about buying SIM cards for your phone to be able to talk to somebody, I guess whatever you post on your social account can be found, but when are people going to sort of get the idea that, you can get a private phone card and a private gift card, among other things. Among like changing your files so they can't track you. There was a great headline this morning in the crypto news world that the general public is going to demand privacy in finance and DeFi. They're going to demand it. Well, folks, guess what? You don't have to demand it because it's already out there. Did you notice that this whole like rally, ironically, started with a Zcash move? Normally when Zcash goes up, the market doesn't do that well. Zcash just turned around and took off and went to 60. And Zcash is not Monero. It is not pure privacy. It's got a privacy function, but it's not pure privacy. So again, Toby Ward is a big privacy fan, and in 15 minutes, we will be headed over to the YouTube member podcast where we will be dropping more knowledge. We're going to have more information in 2 podcasts than we're going to have all month long. Basically, we're taking the content for this month and we're front loading it. Because, if this isn't it, what is? Especially with gold and silver, right? Like here's a headline. I like this. This tells you all you need to know. PayPal's head of capital markets. So stonks rallying, everything going up. All these fat cats making all this money. This guy, no doubt, walked away from God only knows how much PayPal stock to go run a crypto treasury company. He's like, you know what? We do stable coins over here and make a little money. Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go over there and we're going to buy crypto and we're going to hedge ourselves. We're going to hedge ourselves against the declining dollar. If you had said a year ago, I'm leaving my company to start a gold and silver treasury company, they would have laughed at you. They were laughing at this guy, Peter Schiff. Now, he's an engagement farmer on Twitter, making fun of all the crypto people. But one thing you do have to remember about gold is that they waited 10 years for their trade. And in crypto, we need therapy, right? We need therapy because it took us 10 months. It took 10 months. They waited 10 years. And they not only waited 10 years, but they waited 10 years with stonks going up. They waited 10 years with crypto going up. So they sat there with their trade, and some of those things like silver and gold, they're at their premium zone. They're not necessarily backing off, but the more they press their premium zones, the more likely it becomes that crypto simply follows, right? Crypto simply follows. I mean, Solana is up 1% today. Okay. So here's a Solana chart. You want a chart? I'll give you a chart. We talked about this last time, right? Okay. So here's your cup in your cup and handle in Solana, right? So they break out. It looks amazing. And then they have to drop it. And look at this. Look at this. You know what that is? That's market makers, right? That's like push them out, push them out, push them out, push them all the way out. They quit. And then, they bring it back above the handle. And the target of this thing is 306. And it's trading at 213. And guess what? They were selling it earlier today. They're just like, yeah, okay. They rallied. I'll get out now. No. Also back at the TA ranch, and Grandpa Keeter would be so proud because I'm remembering to share the screen. And I will get better at this. One thing that people don't realize about this market from a TA point of view, I got to get all the trading view out of my system because Toby hates it, but that's okay. Okay, is that most of this market got close to its 4-hour discount zone. Bitcoin got close. ETH went to its discount zone on a 4-hour chart. That's 4-hour chart. That's not a real chart. You know what I'm saying? That's a real chart. Okay. Wrong Again is here. He's hanging in there. He just became a member, sir. We appreciate you very much. right? Thank you for teaching me to use my imagination. Wrong again. You know, the people who watch this show, the Market Update Nation, the Spartans and the Spartan officers who have been in YouTube for a year. You know, it's like we who are about to make money salute you. ETH, discount zone. Solana, discount zone. Discount zone. Right? You know, Ave Medina is back as a member, sir. We welcome you. Thank you. I mean, you realize that for Solana to get back to its premium zone on a 4-hour chart, it has to go to 254, right? And of course, to state the obvious, you realize that everything that just happened here is suppressed BS, right? The LuxAlgo is just drawing this like giant downward sloping, I don't know what, downward sloping alligator mouth. They just break out of this thing, and you know, this is the target. You know, if they break out, the target is the top of the discount zone at 255. And I don't even think Solana at 255 it is like, oh, yeah, well, that's ridiculous. I can't tell anybody about Solana going to 255. Sure we can, right? Sure we can, right? Everybody and their brother, first they gave up on Polkadot. Then they got involved. Then they got smoked. And now they don't want to touch it. And it is right there at the apex of a diamond. Like, I swear to God, I mean, does it, you know, if I wasn't so busy buying XRP, I would get involved in this. Again, not investment advice, but it is just like, you know, I mean, folks, this is not it, right? You know how everyone's talking about 10K ETH. Everyone's talking about 250 Bitcoin. Right? Everyone's talking about $5 XRP. Everyone's talking about Solana going to 1,000 a week ago. A week ago, or not a week ago, a month ago, right? ETH was going 5,000, was going to 8,000. It was going up. Tom Lee, you know, was all over the news, 6 o'clock news. Now, no one interested. None. Meanwhile, again, this creeping bid, you know, Toby's like, get on the air. And I'm getting on the air. Bitcoin was the only thing that was green. And then I did the old head tilt over here. And I'm like, huh, right? Big Rich, #1 fan. Yeah, we did look at Super. And I think you have to start asking yourself, what's next? What's next? Right? I think it's the disruptor coins. And I don't mind telling you, I don't know if it's going to be every meme coin, but meme coins are going to be back. I even have a date for you in the podcast coming up, right? But a lot of very disruptive technologies are actually still down for the day. Do you know what I'm saying? Down for the day. Like Julius Max is here. Welcome, sir. T-Bone, MJ Hits, MC3PO. Right? 25 silver maples were $1,500. You know, I remember buying, I don't know if the YouTube's going to process this name well or not, but it was like the Kookaburra bird coin from the Perth Mint in Australia. Like top of the line stuff, great tax treatment. You know what I'm saying? Like, silver could go to 100. And if silver goes to 100, what happens to ETH? This is like, I'm, you know, there's people who are bullish, and then there's people who I'm not really getting through to on this whole link between metals and Ethereum, right? I mean, I think the only thing that's keeping Ethereum maybe down is that, you know, people in the dollar trade have been getting squeezed out. So let's bring up the dollar trade, because the glorious moment for Ethereum is metals up, dollar down. And oh, wow. Did they do a classic in foreign exchange? Because foreign exchange, by the way, invented this whole idea of stop fishing, right? Did they go stop fishing in foreign exchange? I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe. right? Everybody gets short, dollar goes to its discount zone, and then they just rip it up. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to close the government down for, I don't know. We're going to close the government down permanently, and we'll see who we can live without. And it's absolutely, it could be just brutal. And I don't think anyone gets it yet. I don't think people are seeing this whole shutdown thing as either an excuse for the fiscal side of the house to print, to keep it open, or to just smash government, smash the side, smash it, just smash it. Just be like, okay, you know, and corporations do this all the time, right? It's like, okay, we'll do voluntary attrition. Well, they're like, okay, if you leave, we'll give you 9 months pay. And then people take the deal. And then they lay off 50,000 people, and then they see how it works. And then they just go, well, you know what? We're okay without all these people. And then boom, gone. You know, the last people that get that leave, they get nothing. Like the first people that go out get, you know, headline making severance packages. And then the last people out the door get 2 weeks or nothing, right? Because if you get furloughed and then you wind up getting laid off after you get furloughed, well, geez, you know, that's brutal. Right. But it brings in the Fed. It brings in the Fed heavy. And, you know, it's like, oh, okay, Bitcoin's up 1%. So what? So what? Right. I mean, you know, so what? I mean, look at, you know, the stablecoin trade, you know, in the beginning was kind of stupid with what they did with Circle. Okay. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the stock necessarily, but, you know, that's a borderline God candle today. They just opened this thing up. I mean, Marathon Digital is up 15%. Do you think there's any quarter end asset allocation, which we should talk about, by the way? So at the end of every quarter, mutual fund managers will organically sell what's up and buy what's down. That's all. I mean, it's just rebalancing, right? Like they'll do it between stocks and bonds, right? If stocks are up and bonds are down, they'll sell some stocks and buy some bonds. I don't know why anybody would do that, but you know, that's just how it kind of works. So we got a rebalance in play, right? We got a rebalance in play. Vonisme is a loyalty badge member now. We appreciate it. King needs a roadmap in Chainlink. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it right now. Oh, well, actually, we're going to probably have to do it in the YouTube member podcast because, as usual, I'm over. That starts in 3 minutes. But for Big Rich, I want to do Arrow. You know what? I'll give you the quick. I'll give you the quick idea about Chainlink. The Gann model says you want to be long plumbing. Okay. And I got news for you. People are not long enough plumbing. And when people are not long enough and they're short, what happens? Gradually, then suddenly. Like Chainlink might trick you for 2 weeks. And then boom. Arrow has to overcome resistance at $1.17. And if you'd like to try Arrow, they pounded it into resistance, a support twice. They pounded Arrow into support twice, right around $1, and they couldn't crack it at a psychological level. The YouTube member podcast and all the knowledge that you could ever ask for is in 4 minutes. We will see you over there.